Hello, everybody. So, I want to come real quick and talk about the story of Tyra Shaw and her son Jakari. Now, this is playing on Facebook as we speak. It is viral. You can go look all of this stuff up on her page, it's right there. But I'm just going to give you guys the backstory of everything that's going on before we get into the family members and their issues. So, Tyra Shaw took to Facebook to write a very lengthy post on August the 12th. And the post basically goes down the list of everything that happened the last time she saw her son and so on and so forth. So she says, Friday, June 27th was like any other Friday. I had Jakari and he was going to spend the weekend with his dad because his dad had asked to keep him and I had to work both of my serving jobs all weekend that weekend anyway. So I agreed that it would be better for him to just stay rather than me picking him up and dropping him back off again a few hours. I got Jakari and myself ready for him to go to his dad's and for me to go to work. I packed him a few outfits and his lion stuffed animal, put him in the car seat, and we were off. His dad met me at the driveway to leave our apartment complex with his girlfriend. That was odd in itself due to the fact that we had always met at the gym, not too far from both of our apartments. Even though it was odd, I didn't think too much into it. Maybe they were just on this side of town. I got Jakari out of his seat with his lion and told him to tell his daddy that it was a lion. He said, "What does a lion say?" I asked, and he said, "Roar." He whispered it as he always did. I was so proud as lion was his favorite animal. His dad took him to the car. I waved bye-bye and said, "Mommy loves you so much." That was the last time I held, saw, and kissed my 1-year-old son. Later that night, while at work, I got a phone call from Jakari's aunt who lives in Alabama, and she said, "Since the baby is already down here, can I keep him for a few days for the 4th of July? Already down there, already where, was my response. To my knowledge, my son was going to be with his dad in Bowling Green for the weekend, not in Alabama. She continued on to say that my son's dad had brought my son to Mobile, Alabama, where he is originally from, and that since he was already in Alabama, she wanted to keep him. So my son's dad had left the state of Kentucky with my baby boy and taken him to Alabama without my knowledge or consent. Co-parenting with a narcissist is one of the hardest things I've had to do. I contacted him and we had an argument while I was working about how I should have at least been informed that he was going out of town with my son. What if something happened and I didn't know where he was? What a strange thought to have. What if something happened? As a mother, I've constantly had to make choices that hurt me in order to see my children happy, to watch them thrive and have the things they deserved, even when I couldn't be the one to provide them with it. This situation was no different. For the 4th of July, I had to work. Why deny my baby time with his cousins and family, fireworks and cookouts just because I didn't have those things to give to him? Looking back, it was the single worst mistake I've made in my entire life. I gave his aunt my permission to keep my son for the 4th of July. On June 31st, my son's dad dropped him off in Sweetwater, Alabama. The entire weekend he was with his dad, I cried every day. I missed my baby so much, it was causing problems with the people who were around me. The next few days he was with his aunt, I laid in my bed feeling sick, like something just wasn't right. I even went to the doctor thinking maybe I was really sick because something was wrong. I didn't feel good at all. Starting that Sunday, I would message his aunt multiple times a day to have her send pictures and video chat me. He would get upset when we video chatted because he missed me and I missed him. So toward the end of the week, she stopped letting him video chat me because she was afraid he would get upset. But I never stopped messaging him to check on him or asking for pictures to see how he was. The conversations got smaller and things became even more odd. My son was supposed to return home Sunday night or Monday morning at the latest. On Saturday, July 4th, I messaged her earlier in the afternoon to say good morning. How is my baby and happy 4th of July? I didn't get a response until 7 p.m. that night, and only then it said he's good. I replied with a message asking if he had fun and if he had liked the fireworks or not. No response. Sunday, I didn't wake up till around 12:15. I was late taking my oldest son to meet his dad, so I jumped up and got in the car and took him to meet his dad. At 12:30, I sent a message that said, "Is my baby okay?" At 1:12 p.m., my phone rang. It was the baby's aunt. This was a conversation. She said, "Tyra, I need you to come to the country." Me, under the impression that my son was being brought home by his uncle who lives in Louisville, responded, "Why? What's wrong? What's going on? Is my baby okay?" Her response was, "I need you to come to Alabama as fast as possible." And she hung up the phone on me. I called back multiple times, back to back, and got no answer. I messaged multiple times asking what's going on. She wouldn't respond, and I knew something had happened to my baby, even though she wouldn't tell me. I finally said, "I need an address. I'm on my way, and please tell me my baby is okay." She responded with the address, and again, my heart sank. I called around trying to find my boyfriend for him to drive me because I was a nervous wreck and knew something was really, really wrong. How could I make that 6.5 hour drive alone? As I'm trying to get in contact with him, my phone rings again. This time, it's from an aunt that lives here in Bowling Green. She said, "Tyra, who hurt you, baby? Who hurt your baby?" I said, "What? What do you mean, who hurt my baby? No one will tell me anything." They said there was an accident. I said, "I don't know. No one will tell me what's going on. Someone needs to tell me what happened and if my son is okay." The aunt said, "No one has told you anything?" Tyra says, "No, please tell me what's going on. Is he okay?" The aunt says, "They said he died." I immediately hung up the phone and kept calling his aunt who had him in her care. I couldn't believe it until someone who was there told me something. I called the baby's dad and asked him what's going on again and got that he didn't know. I called and messaged, crying, begged, and pleaded, and no one would tell me anything. I finally found my boyfriend and headed to Alabama. On the way, the entire way, I messaged and called and asked what happened and what was going on and was he okay. And no one, not one person, would give me an answer. Finally, I sent the aunt a message that said, "How can you do this to me? How can you not tell me what happened to my baby? I trusted you. Where is he? Where is the hospital? What happened to my baby?" This time she finally responded with the address to the hospital, which I looked up and called. I told them I didn't know who I needed to speak with, but I think they had my son and I wanted to know what was going on. I was put on hold. The doctor answered the phone and I repeated my statement over again to the doctor. The doctor said, "Yes, ma'am. You mean to tell me no one from the family has contacted you yet?" "No, sir. No one will tell me what's going on. Will you just tell me if he's okay?" And then, just like that, everything went silent. The whole world stopped turning. It was dead silent. The doctor said, "I want to start by telling you that your son was beautiful, that my nurses and I did everything we could to save him, but your son drowned in a pool and was pronounced dead at 1 p.m. 1 p.m., my life's son was pronounced over. At 1 p.m. on July 5th, 2020, my life ended too. I asked the doctor to please keep my son until I could get to him, and that would be another couple of hours before I could get there. I knew that if the coroner took him, I would never get to hold my baby again. He said he would try and hung up the phone. Again, a bombarded message asking questions and pleading for answers from his aunt who refused to say anything other than, "When will you be here and how far out are you?" So here are the stories, you decide. Story from the aunt to me. The little girl came to the door and asked for some chips, so I brought her in and shut and locked the front door. I took her to the kitchen and got her some chips and went out the back door and asked, "Where is Kari?" And they all said he wasn't out there. So I went back in the house looking for him. My daddy said they are going to try and take my kids for neglect, so I have to get them out of here. I'm sorry, but I can't lose my kids too. The uncle's story, which is in the house, to her. I woke up at around 11:30 and all the kids were already outside, which seemed odd because we all usually wait and go outside at the same time. I woke up and went to the bathroom. I was in there about 30 minutes and then I went out the back door where the kids were. I was only out there long enough to look around, and then she, the aunt, came out and asked where Corey was. And I said to ask her who, and she said the nephew. I ran to the pool first thing and he was in there floating. I got him out and tried to do CPR until the first responders got there and took him from me. I asked her afterward what happened and she told me that she just saw him on the porch with her daughter. I don't know, Tara. I think something else happened, but I don't know what. The first responders story. I overheard the call on my radio. I was off work, but I knew I was close to the area, and I hoped that if I got there fast enough, I could help. When I got there, there were many children and adults on scene. It looked as if they were having some type of get together. When I arrived, I ran in the house, and the baby was face down on the couch with a man with dreads pushing on his chest and back trying to get water out of him. I took him from the man and immediately started mouth to mouth and CPR. I asked, "How long has the baby been down?" And no one responded. So I asked again, "How long has he not been breathing? I'm trying to save his life and I need to know." To which the aunt responded, "I just went around the house for a minute. There were so many vehicles there. We had to tell them to move for the ambulance." I kept saying to your baby, "Your mom and daddy love you, baby. Please come back." And no one ever corrected the fact that they were not his parents. Not until after he had passed. Then the uncle says they aren't his parents. His parents are on the way from KG. I even had to tell the doctor they were not his parents. They were multiple adults at the hospital. I stayed as long as I could and left around 3:46 p.m. And then this is the sheriff's story. The sheriff told me that the aunt had told the deputy that all the kids were outside and she called them in for lunch. When they came in, she realized he wasn't with them. The aunt was told 4 different stories just right there. Since these stories were told to me, the aunt has since called to tell me that she didn't do anything to hurt him, and even though I'm going through something, I won't talk down on her or her children because I suggested maybe one of the kids put him in the pool. I haven't heard from her since. The uncle changed his story and said that he never said he thought something else happened, and that I need to stop blaming and accusing them of being the evil that would hurt my son. The first responder was contacted by the investigating deputy and basically intimidated to the point where he doesn't want to speak to me unless the conversation is recorded or through text message, so that information isn't construed. They called her right after I called them, telling them they needed to look further into it because the stories didn't add up, and my son wasn't physically able to climb the pool stairs alone. They told her that she should have never talked to me or given her hope that something other than an accident happened to her baby. They said she shouldn't have told me that his hair was dry, which was one of the things that she didn't tell me. I was unaware of this information until he gave it to me himself. Alabama Child Protective Services sent me on a wild goose chase, telling me they had to investigate it, not them, since we live there. When I finally did get in touch with the woman responsible, she told me it was obviously neglect and she would have to turn it over to the DA. But the DA office says they hadn't been given anything from the police or the DHR. I contacted a private investigator that says that he can take the case for a $5,000 retainer fee, and it would cost me $8,000 to $10,000 to complete. I've spoken to several lawyers who say there's not much they can do because there is no financial gain that can be gained by them because these people didn't have insurance policies. I'm being played for the fool, stonewall, and sent running on wild goose chases. I've been told maybe she was experiencing trauma. That's why all her stories are different. I've been told there is no way to prove that my baby did not climb the pool stairs alone. No one will help me get the justice Car deserves. So if any of you know anyone who can help, please send them my way or send me theirs. It's clearly evident these people are living their lives normally, who don't even post pictures or thoughts of my son, who still have custody of their children while mine lay 6 feet under were neglect. But someone put my baby in that pool. Please help me get justice for my car. My son was 15 months old. 2 foot 7 inches tall, weighed 31 pounds. There were 3 stairs to this pool, all measuring 12 inches apart. The pool was 4.5 feet deep and 12 by 14 foot around. He did not get in there alone. There is no way. Tara also has some other things to say, like the aunt, the uncle. Nobody came to the viewing or the funeral for her child, which is very telling. Like, why wouldn't you go and lay your nephew down to rest? Like, it's just like idiots, basically. Also, how can a chubby 15-month-old baby climb the ladder to this pool to get into the pool all the way by himself? There's just no way. Rather one of her kids helped him up there and everything was an accident, then won't you just say that and, be truthful? Why make up a blatant lie that a 15-month-old baby, chubby and unstable, climbed this ladder right here and got himself in the pool and drowned? And there were no other kids around at all.
Okay. So you have a problem with the way the baby got in the pool. You don't feel like he was tall enough or his limbs were long enough to extend the height that it needed for him to actually climb the steps and get inside the pool. So, what do you speculate will happen? You speculate somebody not tried to murder him or anything, but do you think one of the kids maybe what you think one of the kids maybe put him in the pool?
Yep. I think that they weren't keeping an eye on the kids at all, which is evident by her being in the house when one
Right.
of the others come to her and said, "I want some chips." They weren't watching them,
Right.
and something happened. But that something is the problem for me. What happened? What
Let me
happened?
ask you this: do you suspect and allegedly? I'm just speculating. Do you suspect that maybe someone knows what child put the child baby in the pool and they don't want to say anything if you because you don't feel like he was able to get in the pool by himself?
I was with my baby every day, and I watched the struggle he had just stepping from the parking lot to the sidewalk. That 3 or 4 it takes to step up and down. I watched the struggle he had with that. So for him he's 2 foot 7, 2 foot 7 when I took him to the doctor in June. The pool stairs are 12 inches apart. So that means he would have to bring his legs half of his body height just to get on the stairs. And if he found a way to get on the stairs, it would have taken him an extremely long time to climb all three of them to get in the pool.
Right.
Where were you? Where was anybody? How did nobody, not a kid, not an adult, not anybody see him? But she also told 4 different stories.